Now let's start out. Uno momento. Where you be, brother? Where you is? Stream list, very good. Playlist, okay. Let's start out with the files, get our updates. The latest shit has come through the door, and afterwards we're gonna have some fun. We got anti-woke Christmas movies. We got AI-generated Yanis Varoufakis. We have a great conversation about the great culture shift in the last 5 years. Maybe some Joe Rogan stuff, maybe even some theory to speak, but maybe I'll leave that tomorrow. On topic of dialectical materialism and so on. A lot of contradictions in this motherfucker. Let's start out with the files, lube ourselves up real good, and then we'll slide through the rest.
Released. Now, I had a little hesitancy on that word because it's only part. The DOJ releasing a mass dump of heavily redacted documents tonight, and I want to just emphasize that point.
Personal Kizzo, that is 30 consecutive streams. You're an insane motherfucker. Very well. Then I contradict myself. I am large. I contain multitudes. You contain 30 multitudes. Every time you watch it, you go up an extreme. You become a new person because you walk out of it changed.
By heavily redacted, I mean a lot of pages that look like this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and that's all I was going to do to the printer to make the point. Okay, there's a lot more of them. We have teams across.
I mean, back in the day, a lot of people did post like a black square as their Instagram profile photo. So maybe that's just that, like Instagram profile photos of liberals during that whole era.
CNN.
There are more black squares in these files than profile pics during BLM. There you go. Great minds think alike, as they say, or in this case, an unhinged mind and a great mind.
I'm going through what was released right now in terms of pages that are not quite as black as these. But the DOJ is admitting in a letter to Congress that the files are not complete, separate from the redactions themselves. And that lack of completion is a big problem because the deadline by law, thanks to Congress forcing Trump's hand on the Epstein files, is today. Now, the key Republican who is behind getting that law passed is Congressman Thomas Massie, and he's posting on social media tonight, quote, unfortunately, today's document released by AG Pam Bondi and Deputy AG Todd Blanche grossly fails to comply with both the spirit and the letter of the law that Donald Trump signed just 30 days ago. And Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene said, quote, release all the files. It's literally the law. Well, they did not, and they have not yet. The White House saying tonight that it did not receive the Epstein documents that were released by the Department of Justice before the release. So they're saying that they weren't involved with what the DOJ chose to put out today. But the Justice Department...
Like, the whole situation is a massive lose-lose to them because whatever they don't release, everybody will assume has Trump in it, and whatever they do release is going to have Trump in it, so it's going to be a big L. Like, there's no getting out of this. Maybe if they did not want this situation, then don't elect political figures in power which are associated to the world's most famous pedophile. Just small things like this.
Did brief the White House on what the documents contain. So what do we actually have tonight on the pages that aren't black as the country starts to shut down and check out for the end of year holiday time? We do have some apparently never before released documents, along with thousands of files that were already public, the redactions, of course, and a whole bunch of pictures of Bill Clinton. Now, among the never before released documents is this photo of Bill Clinton. He's with Epstein. Got a print out of that one as well. And then a photo of a shirtless Clinton in a jacuzzi next to another person whose face is redacted, and a photo of Clinton swimming in a pool with Ghislaine Maxwell and another woman whose
this fucking thing was fucking incredible.
Face is...
Thank you very much, Dysfunction, for the gifty. Thank you very much.
Redacted. Now, it's important to note Clinton has not been accused by law enforcement of any wrongdoing related to Epstein, and a Clinton spokesperson's posting on social media tonight. The White House hasn't been hiding these files for months, only to dump them late on a Friday to protect Bill Clinton. This is about shielding themselves from what comes next or from what they'll try and hide forever. Now, as for Trump himself, he didn't want to talk about the files today. He refused to take questions about anything today when he appeared in public to announce a drug pricing order.
I won't even take questions today because there's no way I can take questions that are anywhere comparable to what you just witnessed.
How are you? Oh, my God, that's so funny. How are you a chud looking at this, not losing your mind? Half of your ideology is based on the idea that there is an evil conspiracy type cabal that likes to touch children that is behind every every hole of power in the country, and then you recognize that your boy is directly connected to a evil billionaire pedophile cabal, and he doesn't even want to talk about it, and yet you still cope your way into. We are, as Brace said during that deprogram interview we did, we are 100% post-truth, baby, 100%. You can just say words, dude.
To be clear,
I know this is not like a hard-hitting analysis coming from me, but it's genuinely true. Like, for the reactionary chud, everything is acceptable. We will do whatever you tell us to do, no matter how contradictory you are. Oh my God, I already said contradictory. Because who we are as human beings is, John last, MAGA supporter first.
What he's talking about, what we just witnessed, was an announcement from Trump about drug prices. MJ Lee has been going through the files such that we have them. And MJ...
Thank you, Akkad. I saved the link. Thank you, brother.
Look, we got these photos. We got lots of redactions. Lots of things missing, but there are still, many, many pages.
I would pay an incredible amount of money to just see Trump naked, like 2017, 2016, Trump in a pool. But I don't think he ever allowed himself to do something like this.
Of documents that you are able to look through. What are you learning from them?
Imagine Trump in spandex, dude. That would murder. That would kill.
Yeah, Aaron, as we are going through these thousands and thousands of pages of documents.
Marx's analysis of why pedocabals exist, because an insane concentration of wealth in fewer and fewer hands fuels a supraclass of hyper-degenerates that have elevated themselves to borderline godhood because of how much money they have. And as they pursue greater and greater experiences of quote-unquote pleasure, utilizing all this capital that they've stolen from workers, they eventually have to come to the biggest taboo on planet Earth, arguably, which is to touch a child inappropriately. That is why they exist, and that is why there is such a high concentration of them amongst the billionaire class. That's not class, but you get my point. Because they literally have experienced everything else, okay? It is the greatest sin. It is the biggest taboo. Therefore, it is the biggest turn on for people that have experienced absolutely everything else. Not everybody's a fucking
crazy hamburger, crazy hamburger.
Not everybody's a billionaire, obviously. And our tastes, because of that, cannot degenerate to such a level where we want to participate in super sick behavior like this. King Cold Prince, baby. What is up, Prince? Haven't seen you in a second. Thank you for your taxes, my friend. Thank you very much. How are you doing? Thank you for our first taxpayer getting us closer to Gamba. King Cold Prince, have you ever Gamba'd in here? I can't remember, honestly. Thank you very much. King Cold Prince is becoming the number one oiler in chat, defeating maybe even Barry, but we will see.
Documents and photos to try to...
Yeah, that's your TLDR. You obviously have pedophiles that are born pedophiles that are just like broken, with all due respect, but you also have people that get to that step due to just like desensitization, due to having experienced absolutely everything else. And obviously their class plays a lot in the fact that they end up doing it, because most people, no matter how desensitized they are, certain taboos are not touched because certain taboos are not touched, period. But once you've elevated yourself to the billionaire level, you genuinely start believing that the rules that apply to us plebeians no longer apply to you, including some moral codes that are, just for regular Joes. I am now above all of this, therefore I can indulge in it. And they'll probably also give yourself plenty of other lies, like, oh, I'm helping these teenagers out or whatever by giving them $20,000 to ruin them forever. How many ski masks do you have? At this point, like 10, bro. I have so many. I am Batman. I am ski mask Batman. Batman! Bootaman! I got a boot. Boot.
figure out what's new, what's significant. Are there people of interest that we should be taking note of? You're right that this is just a partial release of the so-called Epstein files from the DOJ. And what's interesting is that Todd Blanche has essentially informed Congress as of this afternoon that this is happening in this way because of the sheer volume of the documents that we are talking about. And what he essentially communicated is that we needed more time to figure out what information needed to be redacted, including on some information that the agency got recently. Now, one thing that is interesting is that he made clear in this communication to Congress that they made a decision to withhold and redact information that goes beyond what is stated in the law. And just as a reminder, what is stated in the law is that there are 5 categories of information that can be redacted. That includes identifying information about the victims. And just scrolling through these documents, you can tell, there are photos where there is a black box over a woman's face. That clearly.
I genuinely cannot believe that we do not have software that can immediately decensor a photo. Isn't that insane? We have holograms, my dude. And I know that certain types of censorship can quote unquote be decensored when it's a blur. But I guess, it would be impossible to develop technology. I don't know, designers in chat or techie people in chat, artists in chat. Yeah, I guess it's impossible when there's a JPEG on top of this photo. How do you remove the JPEG that's been pasted on top? And in this case, the black boxes are basically JPEGs that are plastered on top. But then again, there's probably a way to code search the image and all of the edits that were ever done to it in order to determine what it looked like previously. I don't know. I'm genuinely not techie enough to understand this. Please help me. But I am kind of mind blown that in the big 2025 we can't decensor a photo. It's kind of wild. It's insane. We got fucking space lasers. Alex, thank you for the Prime and the 8 months. Be like Alex, he's your Prime. Thank you very much, Alex. There is, I'm pretty sure, it's redacted and then copied. Good point. No technology can defeat the power of black marker. Sure, they redacted and then scanned. Good point. So by that, you probably mean they first edited out whatever's in the photo, then they scanned it. Then they added the thing on. I don't know. If the data is truly destroyed, there is no way to recover it.
Wonderful, a new child soldier. Subscriber.
The Aldi censor shit is just making a guess. Yeah, probably flatten the image so the sensors are part of the image. Yep. Okay, there you go.
Wonderful,
smart people in chat.
Child soldier.
Yeah. So okay, we cannot decensor this shit because it's done properly. Thank you, Anonymous. Thank you very much.
Sex abuse, any shows physical abuse, anything that could hurt an ongoing investigation, something that could
I'm fucking with you, Barry.
hurt national security. But the fact that there are going to be more documents coming out on a rolling basis, and that's...
You know what to do with the hype train chat. You know what to do.
So many redactions, again, beyond what the law originally stated, is going to have huge political ramifications. And I also think we should talk about the ramifications that is going to have on the survivors, because one of the things that the survivors are very much looking for in a big picture way as they go through these files is a sense of a better understanding of why some of these internal decisions over the course of many years were made, including, what charges did the department decide to not bring on certain people? What were the decision-making processes that took place over the course of many years that they've never gotten the answer to? So this is going to be sort of a long-running process, and I can tell you with certainty that survivors are not going to be happy about what they are going to see as still the continued lack of transparency here.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, MJ Lee. And everyone's here with me now. So, Barry Levine, obviously, you've been covering this for years, and you've pushed every night here for the files to be released. So the day comes, the deadline comes, and we get some stuff. We get some new stuff. We get a lot of stuff we already knew. Yeah. We get a lot of black pages. And when it comes to men, we get a lot of pictures of Bill Clinton.
Yeah, Aaron, apparently there's about 10% of the actual FBI files that were released today.
Imagine being Bill Clinton right now. You're not even scared about the releases because nobody wants to see you. Like, you're so implicated with Epstein that, like, people have conspiracies that are 100% correct, by the way, that even the president sucked your dick. And even though, like, everybody now knows that you're probably a fucking sex pest freak, borderline pedophile, if not full-on pedophile, and yet nobody cares because everybody's like, oh, we want to see the Trump photos. You're irrelevant, sir. Like, isn't that insane? Like, you get caught holding the biggest bag in history, the second biggest bag in history, first one being, you having, what with your secretary. And now, like, nobody cares. Like, nobody gives a shit. Everybody, like, people are complaining. They're like, why are you giving us all of these photos of Bill Clinton? We do not care that he is a pedophile. Bill, you're free to go, borderline. Like, hey, Bill, you do your thing, brother. We want Trump right now. He probably can't believe his luck. He's sitting there with Hillary. Who am I kidding? He's definitely not in the same room with Hillary ever. He's just sitting there and he's like, what the fuck? Like, why does nobody care? Nobody gives a fucking shit. Everyone knows about Clinton already since Monica. I guess that's the meme, but one would think that sexual indiscretion is not as bad as sexual indiscretion with children. But who am I to talk to you about American culture? I do not know this. America run by pedos. Everything is run by pedos. There is a direct line of events that every billionaire follows, which eventually lead to fucking kids, as I've said earlier. Okay? Being a billionaire and not having sex with children is one of the most difficult things you can do on planet Earth. I don't think it's even possible. Because you've amassed all of this wealth, all of this power, you've experienced everything that man can experience except the ultimate taboo, touching the child. So you touch the child.
Of that, 5% of the 10, we already had. Okay, so we're receiving, for the most part, very little. And, it's already been playing politics in the sense of putting out pictures of Bill Clinton. You have to wonder if the DOJ has assigned Jay Clayton at the SDNY to investigate Clinton and other Democratic enemies of President Trump. Why are they showing all of these photos of Bill Clinton? You would
subscriber.
think that would be part of the investigation. So that doesn't make any sense. We did learn that there's 1,200 victims, more than we initially thought, from the DOJ.
I don't delete some VODs, like Twitch is fucking with me and it keeps like unpublishing them from time to time because of the music I play in the beginning. A good point. I always try to publish them afterwards, but sometimes I forget.
DOJ also said, and this is most important
Jesus Christ,
to me, and
50.
I think
good on you, man. Good on you. Congratulations one more time. Crazy work, dude.
Survivors. DOJ communications on investigations into Epstein and his associates and details of any immunity deals. And so I'm looking for the FD 302 forms, which are the FBI witness reports that Representative Tom Massey says pertains to 20 men that Jeffrey Epstein trafficked these children to. And from the initial look that I made earlier, I don't see any of the 302 forms. However, we may see them in a later document dump.
I mean, Stacey, just to state the obvious here, it's just definitionally impossible that it's random what we got today, right? If you're putting out 10%, someone's making a decision on what that 10% is.
Yeah, exactly. And it seems like Todd Blanche is the propped up announcer of it. But to Barry's point, it's so significant that President Trump directed Pam Bondi to investigate Bill Clinton, directly named him in a social media post along with other Democrats. And then she answered the call and appointed a U.S. attorney in the Southern District of New York to investigate.
And others, yeah.
And the policy of the Justice Department is you don't release anything related to an ongoing investigation, especially photographs about the subject of an ongoing investigation. And obviously it seems
Thank you, Red Cheese, for the 1 year. Thank you very much. It is very, very kind of you. Thank you.
to be a disingenuous subject, being Bill Clinton being ordered to be investigated at this late stage of the game. It certainly did seem targeted at the time and still does. But why would they go against their own policies and then release Bill Clinton's photos? It's kind of makes a farce of this entire situation.
I mean, it really, right, if your whole point, if you were going to hide behind an ongoing investigation, the one that you've got going is into Bill Clinton. And yet we got a whole bunch
There's
of...
no winning. No matter what they do, they'll everybody will assume that it's Trump if it's censored up. That there's no winning. This is just complete chaos. The only thing they can do is ignore it. But obviously the Dems, if they are not absolute fucking troglodyte idiots, are going to milk the living shit out of this. And it is in our interest as, anti-fascists and socialists and anarchists and so on, to, in this case, edge on the Democrats as much as we physically can, no matter how much we might dislike them, as a tool in this fight against reaction, where they can, utilize all of their immense resources, all of their connections in, quote-unquote, big traditional media, to make it as loud as possible that Donald Trump sucks Bill Clinton cock and likes to touch little girls.
Pictures of him in a pool and a jacuzzi and whatnot.
Yeah, and I'll just add one more building block, which is that the legislation, the Epstein Files Transparency Act, actually has an exception. It says you do not have to release information if it could jeopardize an ongoing investigation. So it's not just that that's Justice Department policy. The law allows for them to actually have that.
Specific law, right, that Massey...
Yes,
law. Yes,
exactly. So it's the oddity that would be the piece that's released, and especially when the victims have named at least 20 men, and then we've only got one out of 20.
Right, and it happens to be that one. Okay, Max. So I mean, we all get that, and obviously, everybody. If there's anything more to know about Bill Clinton, then people should know it, right? Sure. But they should know about everyone else as well. The two men behind the bill, the law that Ryan's talking about, Ro Khanna and Thomas Massey, have both said this is a load of baloney. And Massey saying, basically get out of town, right? His words are that grossly fails to comply with the spirit and the letter of the law. Then you had Marjorie Taylor Greene, who, has been a regular voice on this issue, but now other issues going on.
I'm going to say it again. The contradiction of continuously running campaigns in which you undermine the value of the law,
a new child soldier,
ends up eating you, because now nobody cares about the fact that it is a law that you have to release all the Epstein files.
That's Trump.
Crazy how that happens, eh? Crazy how that boy shouted wolf, and then nobody showed up.
Does this become like everybody jumps?
But I still don't want to digress, but I keep going back to Bill Clinton. It is an incredible moment in history that a man has been uncovered to have been so incredibly degenerate and corrupt, and yet nobody gives a flying fucking shit, because they already either knew that he's degenerate and corrupt, or they don't care because all eyes are on Trump right now. That is very funny. That is really funny. I would pay money to see, to sit in the same room with Bill Clinton right now.
A new child soldier. Subscriber.
On board to this or no?
There are now three things that
they should call the DOJ to arrest themselves. Yeah. Much three holes of power. Much separation of much powers.
That are universally approved of in politics: motherhood, apple pie, and releasing all of the Epstein files, which is what makes this so...
My guy prepared that for hours. He looked himself in the mirror for hours and prepared this beginning of a statement.
Incredibly jarring, alarming, and politically stupid that the Trump...
It's crazy how IDF and Israelis are so close to this. Watch the Deprogram episode done with a very good journalist from Mint Press News on this particular topic, dude. Epstein's partner in crime is literally the daughter of one of the most influential Zionists on planet Earth. Not just influential through philosophy, but through investment and through covert operations and so on and so on.
A new child soldier. Subscriber.
Is that video that make me ban of pirate software? Our friend here, thank you very much for the subscribed, because he really wants to show us this. So let's watch this. Let's watch this. The video that banned him on Pirates
subscriber.
of Tware. Okay. Why is it wrong to chill? What the fuck? Is that video that make me, what, you sent this to Pirate Software and he banned you?
Grant that you're right, and he's on the list and all the things, and you're right about all the accusations you've been making. Why is it wrong that he did those things?
Are you asking me why it's wrong to rape children?
Yeah, I need you to tell me why it is wrong in your eyes
to rape
to
children.
do that?
What?
Yes. Do you need me to repeat it? Can you not hear me? Do you have too many talks in your ears, or what's up?
Oh my God. The arrogance and entitlement in his voice.
Why is it wrong? Is that too hard of a question?
Too hard of a question. When did raping children become a point of discussion for debate? Why should anybody need to explain to you why that is wrong?
That is like, I know that this is not fake, but like all of my spidey senses are immediately going off that this has to be fake. Like, you know, the call is coming from inside of the house so that you garner a shock value clip so that you can milk it and so on. But then I remember just how fucking insane a lot of reactionaries are. And I'm like, okay, you know, you go like take yourself away from your inherent subjectivity and understand that, yeah, some people can be this demonic.
Wonderful, a new child soldier.
It's fascinating. It's like, who has hurt you, my guy? Like, what were these magical material conditions we talk about all the time here that have molded you into someone that actually wants to discuss and quote-unquote debate? Jesus, there's so many subs it's playing now.
Hamburger, cheeseburger, 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 Big Mac, Big Mac, Big Mac, Big Mac, Whopper, 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 hamburger, cheeseburger, Big Mac, Whopper, hamburger, cheeseburger, Big Mac, Whopper, hamburger, cheeseburger, Big Mac, Whopper, Big Mac, Whopper.
Thank you for giving us the original and true anthem of the United States of America. A king called Prince in Ugopnik because of the last gamba that I've lost. See, it was a 5. Son of a bitch.
These people live amongst us, these racist, rapists, evil people, and they're being emboldened.
It's actually happening.
Why don't you actually answer the question?
It's actually happening.
They're being emboldened.
No, because I asked the question.
What the hell?
Why are you?
Oh, there are no words.
I didn't think this one would happen. You know, we see it often.
Yep.
They'll say that something's wrong, and then Trump will do it, and then they'll defend it.
Yes.
Did that with J6. Did that with the J6 pardons. Did that
These
with
people are evil.
the Medicaid cuts. Did that with the SNAP cuts.
Yep.
Just didn't think they'd do it with child rape.
Obfuscating. Let's just get to the fucking point, bro.
There is no bottom too low for these
didn't
people.
think they'd do it with child rape.
The Epstein files have just been released by the Justice Department. We are sifting through them now, and we're going to bring you what we find as we and our teams find it throughout this hour. Let's get off the sidelines and head into the arena. My panel is here, and we're joined by CNN Crime and Justice correspondent Caitlin Polance and CNN senior White House correspondent Kristen Holmes. Caitlin, first to you. I know that our teams are digging through these files. Is there anything you can tell us so far about what we've learned?
It's called the Epstein Library that's being released by the Justice Department. And Casey, it does.
Psychologist. Also joining us is Lauren Hirsch, the national director for World.
Licensed psychologist. I don't need, okay, I don't know what the lady's going to talk about, but we do not need psychologists when it comes to analyzing why these super rich people are pedophiles, okay? Unironically, everything goes back to capitalism. Yes, I know we're like a fucking broken record, but it absolutely does. Insane crimes of quote-unquote passion of this level, of quote-unquote degeneracy, and this is an apt time when that term has no reactionary connotations in it, okay? These sorts of things happen at the top because these people are absurdly bored, and their sense of self is so inflated that they believe no rules and regulations that apply to plebeians like yourself or like myself should apply to them. And they will poke the hornet's nest time and time again because they cannot help themselves, because it's the one thing that is out of reach. And the massive irony of this entire situation, and just how popular the conversation around billionaires being pedophiles becomes, is not going to stop them from doing pedophile stuff. That is very unfortunate and very ironic. Why? Because now it's a taboo again. Now they know for real, okay? Psychology hours with Yugo here, okay? Dialectical psychology hours. Now they know they can get caught no matter how powerful they are, no matter who they're connected to, etc., which is going to make it even spicier, even quote-unquote sexier to them. The only way to not have billionaire pedophiles is to not have billionaires, okay? Not all pedophiles are billionaires, but all billionaires are pedophiles. Put that on my tombstone. It is an inevitability. You have not, you can do whatever you want except that one thing. Of course, you're going to go do that one thing, especially if you have the moral consistency of somebody who became a billionaire, which objectively one can state is impossible if you have a human soul or any sort of notion of liberal or any other type of ethics. You're ethicless. I mean, no, your ethics is subjectively redefined by yourself, now a godlike entity who no longer subscribes to the ethics of the lowly masses, and therefore you can do whatever you want, including touching their children. So yes, not all pedophiles are billionaires, but all billionaires are pedophiles.
Without exploitation. Annie, it's a heavy day.
It's an inevitability.
A momentous day, but a heavy day, a heavy week. How are you feeling?
There was a lot of anxiety coming into today for many of us survivors and that have been involved in this process. But I have to say, it has been an emotional day in a way that I was not expecting. My sister, Maria Farmer, reported Epstein and his crimes in 1996. We've been saying that over.
This licensed psychologist isn't on because she's a psychologist, but because she was one of his victims. Okay. Thank you for the context. I haven't watched the video previously, and he just said, "Oh, we have one of the victims and a psychologist," and I was like, "What?" Okay.
Over and over again, and part of what was released today was an official FBI form, and I think it was an FD 71, dated September 3rd, 1996. With some of my sister's report. It was labeled under child pornography, and it described Epstein stealing photos of myself at the age of 16, of my younger sister, who was 12 at the time. And just to see it in writing and to know that they had this document this entire time, and how many people were harmed after that date, it just, we've been saying it over and over, but to see it in black and white that way, has been very emotional. I'm with Maria today. I know she felt a tremendous amount of relief and redemption, but also sorrow in thinking about people like Virginia Roberts Giuffre, who are not here to see this and be a part of really forcing the government to be transparent finally about this case.
So Annie, I mean, just so people know, this is the document that you're talking about. It is the 1996 complaint that your sister made to the FBI about Epstein. She alleged that he stole nude and partially nude photographs of her underage sisters, constituting child pornography. And as we know, law enforcement failed to act on that complaint in 1996. She's followed up on this. She sued in response. You sued over what you experienced. Maria, in a statement, has said, "This is amazing. Thank you for believing me. I feel redeemed. This is one of the best days of
the worst part of Nietzsche and Socrates with a bit of Freud. Welcome to YouGovNick Twitch.
My life." Of course, it's mixed with the fact that I'm devastated about all the other little girls like Virginia who were harmed because the FBI didn't do their job. I'm crying for two reasons. I want everyone to know that I'm shedding tears of joy for myself, but also tears of sorrow for all the other victims that the FBI, looking at this document, and I can feel, I'm sure, just a fraction of the emotion you feel, because you think of, like, if only they took this seriously, how many innocent girls would not have been harmed if only they took this seriously. But it is vindication. It is something, right, Annie?
Oh, it's huge. Yeah. I mean, and I still have big questions about whether.
And I love how all the misogynists always scream at the top of their lungs about the problematic nature of somebody accusing somebody else of sexual violence and how much, quote unquote, proof there needs to be before we all point our fingers towards someone, and that we know we should be patient and not fuck up, and not all allegations are true. And this whole conversation is always in their mouth. But the conversation about thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of young women reporting sexual abuse, and women in general, of course, and then nothing being done about this, okay, the actual mainstream run of events that come when young women and women in general report abuse, that's what they don't want to talk about. That one's not spicy enough. That one's not interesting enough. That one might prove that, I don't know, 99% of women do not want to be labeled a sexual abuse victim, because that's going to give them, I don't know, a leg up against somebody, or it's going to, get them the revenge that they seek. Does that mean that there's no horrible human beings that throw accusations at perfectly innocent people? Of course not. Of course they exist. But making the entire conversation revolve around this minuscule segment, minuscule portion of all of these cases, is to shift the overtone window and somehow, again, make it about women bad in a moment when women are coming out with being abused. That is why I get, I don't know, let's use the word triggered. Fuck it. Yeah, it does trigger me and makes me fucking angry when I'm talking to someone or listening to someone or just enjoying, quote unquote, enjoying the wider discourse about this that keeps going back to the conversation about, legitimacy of accusation. And sure, there's probably like a lot of people that do it with good, righteous intention. Of course, that's a conversation that should be had. But making that the focus of all of these conversations, like, do you have eyes, bro? Like, are you fucking stupid? And there you go. This is an example of a young woman, a child, that reported what is happening and was ignored. New Orleans Catholic Church paid $230 million last week to settle all claims of hundreds of victims, and there is no news coverage. There you go. A man is more likely to be SA'd than be falsely accused of it. Beautifully put. Beautifully put. The excuse for the redactions was the information blacked out as part of an ongoing investigation. Yeah, and that ongoing investigation is going to be eternal. Thank you for being angry on behalf of victims and survivors like this. It's the least I can do. And no, don't thank me for anything. This is not something that one should be thanked for. This is like me standing and being like, you should not walk around the street and stab other people. It's like me saying you should not shit out your shit and then go on your knees and eat it. Like, do you thank everybody that does not eat shit in front of you? No, you don't, because that's normal human behavior that one should not be applauded for, but just being like, okay, thank you for being normal. It is the same when it comes to believe women. That should not be applauded. That should be normal, okay? Believe victims. It should be, it's not something that's, oh, wow, you're fucking, ooh. No, you're just, you're a normal person. I think the Me Too movement is really interesting with all this because it was just about a few very rich white men that lost a little bit of money and power for a brief moment. But so many normie men shit their pants and expected, and in some cases still do, to lose their job, family, and friends if they just said hello to a random woman at a bar. Yeah, it's the classic of make it all about yourself, dude. It's welcome to the world of dudes. Trust me, I've been in it for a second now, and it's an interesting place. The same guys that will talk about how this generation is incredibly washed because it is filled with victims that enjoy being victims are always the biggest potential victims. because they all the time talk about the potential scenario in which they could be victims. Falsely accused, lost job, da-da-da. They're making fun of real victims while deep down inside, again, Freudian hours with yugo, hoping to one day become a victim. They are jealous. They are jealous in their privilege because they do not know what it is to actually be as traumatized and fucked up by being a victim of people that currently are, because they see the quote unquote spotlight as a utility of itself, as a worthy prize on its own. It is so incredibly stupid. This, I beg. Yes, my friend, let's check it.
I unequivocally condemn all forms of violence.
Yeah, this.
You're sitting on a pile of bones.
These bones were here when I got here.
You're drinking what appears to be blood out of a human skull.
As is my right to do. I found this skull.
I'm just saying it doesn't really seem to go with your message.
Maybe if you worked harder, you could drink blood out of a skull.
I don't want to drink blood out of a skull.
Terrorist! Seize him! I unequivocally...
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much it. Victim blaming is probably more widespread than false accusations based on hypervigilance. Yes, just statistically it has to be. It has to be. Some called it momentarily embarrassed pedophiles, like Americans are momentarily embarrassed billionaires. There's so many of these dudes, so many of them, and for women in chat especially. My friends, if you have a close male friend and his immediate reaction to another dude, be it a famous dude or a person directly in your community, being accused of something or being convicted of something, more importantly, if their first instinct is to, how do I put this? To undermine the scale, that's the key thing here, okay? To undermine the scale of the crime that was perpetuated against the victim, that is a red flag the size of the Soviet Union. Because what they're doing in their own mind, again, Freudian hours with yugo, is minimizing a adjacent or similar crime that they themselves might have done as a defense mechanism against somebody else being caught. They see themselves more in the perpetrator than in the victim. And rarely does someone who has not done a criminal act as vile as what the person is being accused of, rarely does someone who has not done that immediately, instinctually relate to the perpetrator. So obviously this doesn't work 100% of the time, but, critical side eye. Always have that so that you're, fucking safe. It's a pretty big fucking red flag. Alternatively, it can just be classic patriarchal norms where men identify with men no matter if they're Hitler or anyone, because they're dudes and they have dehumanized you in their eyes so much that they only view you as tools and commodities that can be traded and interacted with during life. But it is only men who are real humans. You're simply DLC. The opinion of other men is all that matters, and the crimes done upon those who are not men are not real crimes, for they have been done upon somebody who is not fully human and ruining the life of a real human because they've damaged the toy. Is, come on, what are we doing? This is too much, etc., etc. So yeah, in all the cases when somebody's initial and immediate reaction is identifying with the potential perpetrator, or especially once convictions are done, actual perpetrators, fucking run. Run and do not look back. Run. Like, as a dude's dude, okay? You don't get more dude's dude than this fucking cunt right here. That should terrify you. Gotta hop out. I love you all, and please be kind to people, of course. That is actually so interesting. I have never thought about it like that, but it makes a lot of sense. Society dictates how to be a real man, so that is also when you expect yourself to relate to when someone are accused of stereotypical male traits, like always wanting to have sex everywhere. Yeah. The instinct towards defense either comes because of patriarchal definitions of women as not full humans, or you see the crime, you immediately go through your memory bank, you remember something of a similar scale that you've did, so now you feel like you are being indirectly accused through that particular criminal being accused over on the TV screen or in your direct community, etc., etc. Yeah, let's continue.
It was.
Thank you.
Did they not take it seriously, or were they protecting Epstein because of whatever relationship he had with the government, right? Like, there's just so many questions, and why we hope for, again, more transparency. But yes, this is really, really significant.
Yeah, and there is a lot to be said about how, socialists all the time scream about how incredibly similar the Democratic Party and the Republican Party are, how they're just two sides of the same neoliberal status quo defending coin, which might utilize different strategies, but both at the end of the day believe in the perseverance of the status quo, also known as the capitalist economic model that we live under. And that's a true analysis, and that is 100% correct. There's no discussion. If you do not believe that, you are unironically just politically illiterate, and a little bit more time needs to pass so that the contradictions become so inflated in front of you so that you finally understand that, okay? But the reason I'm mentioning all of that is, of course, because I get to jab another one in the buttocks of Dems as much as Republicans. But more importantly, because isn't this an incredible, it's not even a metaphor, an incredible vision board of the similarity of the two parties. What do I mean? Well, there are incredibly powerful Democratic Party figures, heavily, connected to the Epstein case, and incredibly powerful Republican figures as well. You see what I'm saying? They tell you they're fighting against each other, but their tips touch when they're on an island. Do those look like enemies to you? Do you think these people relate to you than they do to a Republican politician? Do you think these people relate more to you than their billionaire donors that fly them out to do degeneracy on steroids? Come on. You are not humans to them, brothers, sisters, and NBs. Never fucking forget that. And dehumanize them equally in return. Thank you, Pickle Rick. Oh my God, I can't believe I said it. Son of a bitch. That was worth your prime, wasn't it? Thank you, Pickle Rick. Pickle Rick with the prime. Thank you, Pickle Rick. You're beautiful. Thank you for hitting me on the head with that prime, bro.
To many of us.
It reminds me also of the young woman who went to the FBI and complained about Dr. Larry Nassar at Michigan State, who was molesting all those gymnasts and was also not taken seriously. Think of all the pain that could have been avoided. Annie, some of your fellow survivors have not been happy with the way that the Democrats on the House Oversight Committee have been releasing information and photographs, not necessarily with enough of a heads up for the survivors, sometimes with context, important context missing, etc. I imagine it's kind of triggering to not be given proper warning. What have you been hearing from other survivors about the...
My therapist asked me about my political ideology, and then after I said I'm a socialist, she started going off about the Holodomor. Tell her that there were therapists in almost every Nazi concentration camp. Okay, let's generalize. She's not a very smart person I don't think she can give you insight about whatever mentally ails you, my friend. Motherfucker say he's a socialist. She's immediately like, but what about mass starvation, bro? Okay, therapist lady. What about cutting open twins to see if they work the same? Like, imagine doing that to a doctor, like any type of doctor. Like, do you know that there were doctors, there were Nazi doctors? Do you know that without doctors helping, the scale of the Holocaust could have never been the same? Like, what? Like, what the fuck? Like, that is the behavior of a toddler, not someone you should trust with your secrets as a fucking therapist, with all due respect.
The way that these documents have been released by Democrats on House oversight.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say actually I'd like to speak more broadly because I think that similar to how things were released today. You know, just the government, I'd say, has not done a good job of communicating with victims.
You're a therapist? What about Unit 731? Yeah, there you go. Imagine if we behaved the way reactionaries behave. Like, it's let me grab some water.
I'd like to speak more broadly because I think that similar to how things were released today. You know, just the government, I'd say, has not done a good job of communicating with victims throughout this process. You know, we did not know what to expect from today. I don't think it would have been difficult from someone from the DOJ to reach out to prepare us a little bit more about how this was planned to be rolled out, but we had no information and we are literally just learning of things like everyone else. And that goes is also is true for you know, some of the things that have come from the House Oversight Committee, and there has been communication, and I think they have made some efforts to try and rectify those processes because yeah, it is triggering, and there's just a way in which it's hard to focus on anything right now with all of this going on. I think many of us are feeling, you know, really on edge and worn out. It's, you know, we have regular lives. People are trying to, you know, go to doctor's appointments, take care of their children, you know, do regular life holiday things. And it's just a serious weight to always, you know, not know what's coming next. So I think, you know, there are things like victims advocates for a reason. I know the government employs them. I don't understand why no one is using them right now.
I hope you feel the support of the American people behind you, Annie, because so many of us are just behind you all the way. Lauren, how do officials in Congress and the Justice Department strike the right balance when it comes to protecting the survivors and their identities, while also releasing as much information about this case as possible to the public? Because some of the documents we're seeing released are just 100 pages of redaction. And obviously, I don't want the names of survivors released, but like 100 pages of redaction, that's a lot.
It sure is, Jake. I think the survivors have been really clear about what they want to see. I think they have said that they want...
Very in bad taste, pun intended, right, as this conversation was going. Okay, this is from my babushka. These are stuffed peppers and stuffed sarma. Why, can you see it? Oh, this is incredible shit. Look, guys. Oh, this is... Oh, my God. I mean, it doesn't look that sexy. But this is incredibly, oh my God, it's insanely good with some feta cheese that I'm going to devour while my camera is off, because obviously I cannot eat with the mask, okay? And if you want to buy me a beer to go with this food, subscribe. Subscribe-a-roo! Okay, I'm still here, don't worry.
All of the files.
It's without meat because now it's like fasting season or whatever.
Released, and they want redactions for victim identifying information. That's very different than document after document after document of full redactions. And they also want to see the names of people who have caused harm on both sides. They don't care if they're names of people who represent the left, the right, the center. They don't care. For them, this is not about politics. This is about pain, and this is about people. And so it's really time to expose those who've caused tremendous harm and begin holding them accountable.
Lauren Hurst, thank you for your presence and your advocacy. Annie Farmer, to you and your sisters, I mean, sending you all the love and support from me and my staff here at CNN, as we have. Thank you, and I hope you're able to have a Merry Christmas. The co-author of legislation requiring the Epstein files release, Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna of California, says he's, quote, disappointed with what the Justice Department has made public today, which is not all of the files. His Republican counterpart, Congressman Thomas Massie, agrees, posting on X just moments ago, that the release, quote, grossly fails to comply with both the spirit and the letter of the law, unquote. Joining us now, Democrat from California and the ranking Democrat on the House Oversight Committee, Congressman Robert Garcia. So, Congressman, you posted on X saying that you and your team are doing a major review of the documents, adding, quote, it's clear that this is not a full release. What stands out to you of what's been released or what has not?
Well, first, I think we should be very clear. This is absolutely breaking the law. I mean, they have not produced actually what they were required to do, which was all the files by today in a way that was searchable for the public, and that is not what's the case. What we have essentially is, one, we have a group of documents that have already been released to the public, and so there's could be even more than half of the documents we're reviewing right now have
100%
already been released. This includes court documents. It includes public video that's already been released to the public. It includes other civil case documents that are in there, the prison footage from Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell's testimony, and all of that information, including about 33,000 pages that were initially released to the Oversight Committee, are all in the public record. That already does not count for new information. Then we have of what appears to be new, including some photos and other documents. Those are highly redacted, and we don't really have any explanation as to why they've been redacted or what is actually there in those documents. And so we have right now, what we're seeing is not transparency. This is not what the law passed. This does not meet the subpoena that the Oversight Committee has in place. What it is defying the Congress and, quite frankly, defying what the president signed into law in releasing all of these files. And so the review will continue. They're now saying they're going to try to get these documents over the next few weeks. In our initial estimation, and again, this is our estimation right now, it could be that we're only getting about 10% of what the DOJ likely has. And of that 10%, 5% of that has already been released, and the other 5% is highly redacted. So we're getting very little so far. We hope to get more in the days ahead. But this is Pam Bondi. Donald Trump should release all the files today and immediately.
There's a lot that's been redacted. The White House seems to be arguing that what's been redacted is just to protect the names of the survivors.
Look, I think we have to obviously see what the redactions actually are. At the end of the day, redacting names of survivors and victims absolutely should be the case, and I'm hopeful that they've done that in a way that's responsible. At the same time, we don't know what else is being redacted there. And so we've got to also talk to folks that we know have worked to put these documents together. We have to ensure they're not just redacting the names of those that could have been either co-conspirators or names of men who have abused women and girls. So that information is going to be critical in the days and the weeks ahead. But we also need to be clear at this moment.
Kansara, that's fucking funny.
I've been on the phone with Jamie Raskin and the Judiciary team most of the day. And we agree, we're going to likely have to take legal action if the Trump administration continues to stonewall, continues to not provide us full transcripts, and clearly they don't have a real interest in transparency. The searchable bar that they've included that's supposed to be searchable for the public is not even functioning correctly. And so this is not a real release. This is continuing a cover that's been going on now for months.
100% correct.
Some of the victims of the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein are demanding the release of all the files relating to the case. Many say they feel let down by the partial release of thousands of heavily redacted files. The US Department of Justice, which released the trove, said the omissions were required to protect victims and for continuing investigations. Well, a number of famous faces have appeared in the latest tranche of images, including Michael Jackson, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor and Bill Clinton. Being named or pictured in the files is not an indication of any wrongdoing. Sean Dilley reports.
Once among the most confidential...
Meal 10 out of 10. I've just popped a week Zyn, 6 milligrams. Life is good. Abundant Apple comes in with a subscription. Life is fantastic. I enjoy the streams a lot, and even though I don't have that much on the economy side, I also know how important it is to support communities like this. It really helped me a lot, and even though I'm often tired when I come home, I always get in a great mood from watching along. Thank you so much for the streams. Oh, come on, Abundant Apples. Thank you for being here. Really glad to hear that. Thank you. Seriously.
Documents kept under...
I introduce to you a new theory. Instead of pedocon, it's pedocap. How familiar are you with West Germany's Kentler project? This project, to deal with their large amount of orphans, placed them with literal pedophiles. What the fuck? The pedophiles who came up with it believed they would provide the best care imaginable. What the fuck? No fucking way. That's insane. I'm not familiar with this at all. It looks like the DOJ is in my chat because everything is censored. Holy shit.
Lock and key by the US government. Some but far
DOJ, get out of my chat. Out! DOJ, out!
From all of the Epstein files have landed. Among them, this picture appearing to show the former President Bill Clinton next to Ghislaine Maxwell, who's serving a 20-year sentence for sex trafficking. And here, Mr. Clinton appears to be relaxing in a hot tub. We don't know who this person is. Another appears to show Mr. Clinton posing with Mick Jagger. A spokesperson for Mr. Clinton said the former president did nothing wrong and he cut Epstein off before his crimes came to light.
Didi Megadudu, thank you very much for the 9 months. Thank you very, very, very much.
This image appears to show the former Prince Andrew lying across 5 unidentified people. Michael Jackson and the former British ambassador to Washington, Peter Mandelson.
Holy mother of God. What? Michael, dude, what the fuck? What the actual fuck?
Jackson and the former British ambassador to Washington, Peter Mandelson, also appeared...
I'm not even talking about the fact that he's in a picture with Epstein. I'm talking about what he fucking looked like. Holy shit.
...to be included. Lord Mandelson has previously said he regrets his former relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. President Trump hasn't yet featured prominently, despite previous releases by Democrat opponents appearing to show him by Jeffrey Epstein's side. The president has always denied doing anything wrong, and there is no indication of wrongdoing by anyone named or pictured in the Epstein files.
The yeas are 427, the nays are 1.
This was the moment lawmakers voted for the Epstein Files Transparency Act. It gave the US Department of Justice until midnight last night to publish most of the files they held on Epstein. The law did allow the government to withhold or redact files relating to ongoing investigations and those showing abuse or identifying victims. But at the 11th hour, the DOJ said the number of documents meant the disclosure would be incomplete. That has led survivors to call for more transparency.
It's been so nerve-wracking. I think all of us are full of anxiety at this point, and you know that now that the files are released, we feel that it is a lot of files that don't have much information in them. So we're trying to figure out, you know, what is going on here, what kind of redactions were made.
The Department of Justice says it hasn't redacted the names of politicians or individuals who are not victims. They say they've identified 1,200 survivors.
Yeah, and I have a fucking bridge in San Francisco to sell you, okay? This has been milked.